first decide, right? Decide who you want to be. You can't be everything to everyone. It's building that brand, not being everything to everyone, because that will just overwhelm people, and just
Right.
being an expert in your area. And little by little, you'll become known. Social media is not your journal, is
No.
not your diary.
No.
It is public, it is out there, and it is this image that you create for yourself.
Your brand is not your logo. It's not your headshot. It is not your tagline. It's really what people say about you when you're not in the room.
I would recommend that realtors stop thinking like salespeople and think more like educators.
Hello, our world. Welcome back to another episode of RWorld Talk. This morning we have with us Melissa Perlman, who is the CEO of BlueIvy Communications. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
First off, I want to get right to the name, because I know that everybody's going to be asking, "Oh, BlueIvy Communications. What thinking of Blue Ivy Carter? Which came first, BlueIvy Communications or BlueIvy Carter?"
BlueIvy Communications.
Okay.
We were here a year ahead of the birth of BlueIvy and
Okay.
Carter.
Okay, fantastic. Strategic communications, not a luxury for big brokerages, but certainly a survival skill set that we need for any realtor who really wants to stand out in a noisy market, which
Mhm.
it seems like the real estate market just keeps getting noisier and noisier. We just had on the podcast last week Tom Bond, who was the CEO of Inman, and that was one thing that we talked about is sort of cutting through all the noise that's out there. So, um, wanted to sort of find out from you, number one, how did you get into the PR world, and what brought you to starting BlueIvy Communications?
Yeah, so my entry into the PR world is interesting. I wanted to go into journalism. I wanted to
Okay.
cover the news, cover the stories, be able to write about them. And when I graduated from college, I was out there looking for jobs, and Office Depot, the headquarters, was located here in Delray Beach then,
Yep.
Boca now. And they had an internship open in public relations. And I was like, all right, let me take it for the summer. Let me see what this is all about. Had never heard of PR before.
Yeah.
I majored in expository writing, so it really wasn't my thing. But they said, "Hey, I happened to go to Brown, so they were like, we're excited about your ability to learn, and you can write. So come on down and try this out." And that was like a quick 3-month introduction into what public relations is. And what I quickly learned was it's all about writing and relationships, and that's the
Okay.
same across the board. It's this.
So that was right in your wheelhouse.
Yep, it worked, and I stayed there at Office Depot for 7 years, and then, at some point, wanted to go off on my own and be able to really invest in the small, medium-sized businesses in South Florida and beyond,
Okay.
tell their stories, not get caught up so much in the corporate world, and really have that flexibility to meet owners, entrepreneurs, right at their office, right at their store, their building, and
Yeah.
really find out what motivates them, and share those stories and make an immediate impact. So that happened in 2011, and
Okay.
Blue Ivy Communications was started.
Well, that really fits in when you're talking about small and medium-sized businesses. I mean, the realtor world that's what we're all about.
Yep.
Are these entrepreneurs that may have just a one-man brokerage,
Yeah.
or certainly even a larger brokerage, you'd still consider a medium-sized business.
Yeah.
They're not Office Depots.
Yeah.
So you've got a good track record of really helping those businesses build and protect their brands.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about the real estate world, your brand is not your logo. It's not your headshot. It is not your tagline. It's really what people say about you when you're not in the room. So,
Yeah.
what is it that, what kind of advice can you give to the real estate community for people who are looking to build on their brand? I mean, tell us about that brand, and sort of what the messaging and the story should be.
Yeah, so I back up a little bit, because public relations is like my baby and what I love,
Okay.
and I try to separate it from marketing a little bit. It's part of marketing,
Yeah.
and branding is part of marketing as well. marketing is really what you say about yourself, right?
Sure.
So I'm the realtor for oceanfront. I'm the realtor for Loxahatchee and equestrian areas.
Yeah.
I'm the realtor for XYZ. Public relations is what other people say about you.
Okay.
So it's that earned media. You can't pay for PR. I mean, there's ways in the middle that, everything's evolving, but for the most part, traditionally,
Yep.
public relations is you are showing up on the television news at 6 p.m. at night, and they're utilizing you as the expert resource. You're in an article about selling a house. You can't pay the reporter to actually write that if it is editorial
Sure.
versus an ad, whether it's on digital media, social media, traditional media, the TV, radio, you're paying for that and you're
Right.
saying, I'm the best, I'm the one you should go to, et cetera. So I like to separate them because I think it's really important for realtors and brokers to understand the difference and not be afraid of going in, one avenue and trying that out and not necessarily sticking with the one that they've seen and heard about for years. So when I say public relations, I'm always telling people figure out where you can earn that media
Sure.
and where you can really build a brand, a reputation, right? Brand reputation, that's similar, same thing. That that the viewing of you is as that go-to realtor for oceanfront, for that equestrian, for Delray Beach,
Right.
whatever it is. It's like building that story, and doing that through public relations.
Yeah, when I was president of this association, I would get calls all the time from the media.
Yep,
We're doing a story. Tell us about
yep,
the market. What's happening over here?
because
What's happening
you
with
were seen as
waterfront?
the expert.
Right. And I had a friend, well, still have a friend that I've known for a number of years. When we lived when I used to live in Canada in Toronto, he was always on every Friday afternoon. He was on the news
Yep,
and speaking about what's happening in the real estate market. Well, come to find out, it wasn't necessarily because that was earned
he paid.
expertise. He was spending $60,000 a year to be on this cable
Yeah.
news station. I had no
I know.
idea.
I mean, you can do that. So, yeah, like a little secret hint. Newspapers do that too. Sometimes you'll see the columnists in
Yep.
like the accent section of, the Palm Beach Post. And
Yep.
it's like the expert, the dentist or the attorney or whoever. And they do pay for those columns. And what are they paying for? They're paying to create earned media,
Right.
but they're creating that reputation because they want to be the expert resource.
Right.
And I think it goes down to building that brand and identifying how you want to be seen and viewed and paying attention to that trustworthiness that everyone is trying to build and garner and emote to your audience.
Sure. So getting away from having to spend a huge amount of money
Mhm.
in order to be
Yeah.
that local expert and sort of buy that expertise, what are some ways that the real estate community, all the realtors that are listening, what are some ways that they can really build that reputation and start building their brand? And what would entice someone to reach out from the Miami Herald and
Yeah.
say, hey, you know what? We'd like you to do a story on what's happening with waterfront properties.
Yeah, it's so one of the things that I like to tell people is when you're first decide, right? Decide who you want to be. You can't be everything to everyone.
Right.
And I think a lot of us try to be. So I'm going to I sell houses here and it's okay if you pick up, your friend is selling their house and it's in an area that you're not the expert on. It doesn't mean you have to say no, but figure out what you want your reputation and your image to be.
Right.
So I want to be the fun realtor, or I want to be the one that's when people think like I'm selling in the canyon communities in Boynton Beach, like they think of me. Or I'm your gal for this. I'm your gal for new homeowners, like that are, figuring it out and don't understand
Right.
all the financial stuff. Figure out what you want to be in your expertise and then dive into that. And by you diving into that, and by diving in, I mean sharing. So it could be that if you do a podcast or you do social media, little videos, you're sharing tips on like,
So tell that story.
yeah, tell that story, give examples, specific examples. And you can do it through A million mediums. You can do it. You can write an op-ed, an opinion editorial, and submit it to the newspaper for free. You can
And
pitch
maybe
yourself.
they pick it up?
Yeah, maybe they do. I
Okay.
mean, they do
Depends how
all
good
the
of a
time. Yeah,
writer you are.
exactly. We do this all the time for our clients. They pick them up. Um, or it could be, oh, I'm watching the news and I see that this reporter is always covering real estate, or I'm reading the news. Well, find out how to contact them. Google is your friend. Find out, reach out, say pitch them. Say, "Hey, I'm seeing a trend that, like, new homeowners are all waiting because they're waiting for these tax cuts and they're not sure and blah, 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 and here's why I think this is happening, and this is, like, my tip for it."
Sure.
Or, "Hey, I have so many clients that I did a survey with them, and I asked them what would make them buy a house at this point, and here's the result that I saw." I mean, there's so many different creative angles because realtors have resources. They have people they know,
Sure.
they're constantly talking to people. They can survey the people they're meeting, share that information with people that are writing about it, and turn yourself into that expert. And you can do it in any way that you're most comfortable. If you're comfortable on video and social media, do that. If you're not and you want to go more traditional into that route, or what happens if you're not even comfortable with any of those, but you have an email list? Like you can send those tips to your email list.
That's true.
And then that information is gonna turn you into that expert. And I'm telling you, whether you pitch yourself or other people are talking about it or other people are sharing your posts, your information, you're creating that brand as the expert, and that will end up leading you and to people and to potential publications that you didn't even
Right.
dream of.
Yeah, when I took Florida Realtors spokesperson training several times, and it's taught by old media execs.
Mhm.
I shouldn't say old media execs, people who used to be
Yes,
very active,
former.
former media execs. Um, One of the tips that they had given was make sure that your LinkedIn profile has got everything about your brand that you want the public to know, or someone who is looking to write a story
Yep.
that may want to reach out to you. Make sure that everything is in there in your
Yeah.
LinkedIn profile. But then also, you should like and befriend all of the people who you want writing about you.
Yeah.
So that way, when they see that you're following them and they go to do a search,
Yeah.
because you now have that LinkedIn
Yeah.
connection,
They'll come
and they
up.
say, okay, waterfront real estate specialist. And it's like,
Who
there
is that?
your face is going to be.
Yep.
And it's the invitation to say, hey, call me when you're writing your next
Yes.
story kind of thing.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to be, and it's hard because I know a lot of realtors are go-getters and they want that instant, like that's what they're
Yep.
trained to do. Sometimes you do have to put a lot of effort in, a lot of information, a lot of consistency, and just wait for the good, the good stuff to come and
Right.
the good opportunities to come because sometimes you can't like make a reporter cover something. You can't make someone be
Right.
looking for, this house at this opportunity. But when you're building your brand, as you all know, when people are buying houses, at some point they're going to buy, sell.
Yep.
You want to be top of mind. And the same thing goes for whether it's your customers, people writing about you, people sharing, people looking for speakers, resources, whatever it is. It's building that brand, not being everything to everyone, because that will just overwhelm people and just
Right.
being an expert in your area. And little by little, you'll become known.
Yeah, and I think people spend so much time. We were talking, just having a
Mhm.
chat off camera about um, going viral. People, everybody wants to be the viral social
Yep.
media star now, whether it be Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever. People forget about LinkedIn, and if you're posting the stories and the information, like you're saying, that make you that neighborhood expert or
Yeah.
that waterfront expert,
Yeah.
if you're posting that stuff on LinkedIn, you're those are your invitations to say, "Hey, if you wanna do a story, you could do one over here." But at the same time, think about the people who are using LinkedIn versus the people who are using Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. I
Yeah.
mean, the really successful, very motivated people are going to be doing business on LinkedIn more than they are going to be spending time on TikTok. So, do you
Yes.
wanna be that viral TikTok person, or do you wanna go after the high net worth individual that's constantly looking to hire and
Invest and
acquire
yeah.
talent, and yeah, that's a place that I think a lot of people forget that they need to make sure that they're getting exposure.
I totally agree. Each of the digital media avenues have different audiences, right?
Big time.
So you need to figure out which one's your priority, especially if you're investing dollars. If you're doing digital media ads, like, you may not need to invest it in all of them, but you can invest it in one of them and your time as well. But I will say repurposing is huge. So save yourself some time. And if you are, writing up these tips that you want to share to an outlet, a TV outlet, you're sharing it with your followers via newsletter,
Yeah.
you can also share it on LinkedIn. You can
Yeah.
also repurpose it on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or wherever it is. You can put it out there and let people know in those different vehicles because you don't know how they'll respond to them.
Sure.
And I will comment on, the world with social media, everyone wants to be an influencer, right? Everyone wants their face out there and to go viral, and it's
Totally.
exciting and it like feeds the ego and all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, take a step back and figure out if this is really helping, open the doors, right? With the reference to like stores, like, yeah, or like a restaurant or something. Is it actually opening doors and getting people to come in? Is it actually getting potential buyers or sellers to call you to
Yep.
reference? Or are you just building, you know, your 1 million followers, the majority of which that aren't even located in this area?
Right.
And that's fine. And it could be fun for you, but also be aware that, there's risk involved when things go viral. When you're out there, there's always going to be like people that love you. There's going to be people that hate you, people that are just, saying whatever. So there are like risks involved in that. But I think it's as long as you're comfortable with where it is and not expecting, oh my God, I have a million followers. Like I should have so many new clients.
Right.
It may not necessarily reciprocate that.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of conventions and conferences and heard from speakers that are like, just post the video, get out there, take the video, post the video. But then I'm, spending some time on social media going, "Y- you shouldn't have taken that advice. Like the video thing is really not your game. Like
Yes.
maybe you should be posting other things. You are not going to get a million followers with your really terrible just horribly filmed, like, you're just not
Yeah.
great on camera, just
Yeah.
don't do it. Maybe you
Yeah.
should be writing something and,
Yeah.
put a little AI photo out there and, like, make a different kind of post as
Yeah.
opposed to trying to get into the real world
I
because
know.
you are
Yeah.
not influencing and if anything, I think that you're really pushing customers away from you. It's really, "What is that person
Yeah.
doing?"
I
It's
mean,
not
I brought this up when I spoke at your the women's speaker.
women rock thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I brought it up that think twice before you post something,
Sure.
right? So things that are out there are there forever, unfortunately.
Yep.
So I think a lot of us get caught up in this like wanting to be the first to respond, wanting to immediately get back to that client, wanting to post something like the second it's done. And I think we all in our personal lives and in our professional lives should take that extra second, sometimes take that extra night to sleep on it
Yeah.
to figure out if it makes sense.
Maybe text that video to your friend and get some
Yes.
feedback before it's a reel that you can't pull back.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because then it builds issues that you don't even wanna deal with it, especially if they're damaging your reputation or your brand, and, the comments where it takes, like, one thing to ruin your brand, 1 second to ruin your brand and,
Yeah.
like, months and years to build it is so true,
Yeah.
so just try to be aware of that.
Yeah, people get canceled for a lot of things these days. So
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
sort of been of the mindset for the longest time now that like if there's something that I'm thinking about doing, let's say post a reel or something like that, you've got the ability to sort of put that onto your Instagram or your Facebook and just make it private for yourself.
Mhm.
Watch it a few times
Yeah.
over.
Get
Think about
comfortable.
like, is this gonna go well? Like, is it okay to, change the privacy setting and actually go and let the whole world see that? Should
Yeah,
it be public? Should it only go to your friends?
yeah.
All of those things I think that people really need to take a second stab at and make sure that they've,
Yes.
are ready to go forward with something.
Yep, yep. And I would say on that note of this like, negative, like crisis communications type thing, if something goes wrong, because I'm sure realtors deal with that of negative reviews
Yeah.
and all that. I'd say invest in them earlier on. So invest in the positive reviews. Ask people, before it becomes we work with clients and they're like, oh my God, I got this negative review. Like, what do we do about it? Right.
Yeah,
So, can we bury it? Can we do this? Before it even gets to that, how about we start today with asking our clients who love us and will be willing to share positive testimonials and reviews
yeah,
to put up reviews. Make it a goal. Do it like quarterly that
right.
you get at least, 2 to 3 reviews or whatever the number is that you're comfortable with so that you're building it up front. So, if that negative review comes for whatever reason, it's not the only one up there. It's
Sure.
one of 10, it's one
Right.
of 20. And then that way it's not so overwhelming. It's like, okay, I'll deal with that. But it's not, business ending.
Yeah, and if you don't ask for reviews, so you've only got a few out there, that one review really hurts
Yep.
your rating
Yep.
because a 1 star when you've only got 4 reviews and the other ones are
It's
5s,
painful.
you go down like
Yeah.
real fast. But
Yeah.
if you've got hundreds of 5-star reviews and then you get one bad one,
Yeah.
what are you
It's
gonna
not
do?
the
You're
end
gonna
of
go
the
down to
world.
4.975? Like, it's still
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about your reputation, your brand, I mean, obviously everything is online. That is super important to make sure that you're constantly reviewing what your internet profile really
Yes.
is. So
Yeah.
when you're thinking about somebody's going to be Googling me, what is it
Yep.
that they're Googling? What are they going to find out about you before they even call you for the first time? What kind of advice do you have for what your brand should look like online, outside of the review
Yeah.
process?
I would say keep it clean and clear. So we talked about building that reputation of who you want to be known as.
Yep.
Make sure that's clear, right? Don't hide that information.
Right.
Make sure if you have a website, whether it's your, mymelissaperlman.com, like what people are seeing when they go or when they're Googling what's showing up first, if it's your company, your realtor location, make sure that it's clear who you are, what you sell, what that brand that what you're known for, what your expertise is in, and how to contact you. All that information, your phone number, like don't leave that off. Don't
Right.
leave your direct email, how to get in touch.
Sure.
And that should be upfront because don't make people search of how to find you. I mean, realtors, there's so many, there's so much competition. You need to be super clear of how people find you and see you. I always recommend, having that profile, that one pager website doesn't have to be that complicated, whether
Right.
it's your name or, if your name's taken, figure out an easy way for it to be known. And that's where you keep up to date information. Don't let it get stale. Don't let it get old, where they can clearly find you and your information and they know who you are. I believe we call them executive websites that we do all the time for people. And it's just a great way to put across like exactly who you want to be known for.
Sounds like MySpace.
Basically, it is.
Yeah. Right.
Just modernized a couple of decades.
Right.
And then Google yourself. Like, have a Google search
I
of
do that all
yourself.
the
Yeah,
time.
just in case, just to make sure that you're not showing up in something you're like, "Oh, why am I on this?" or
Yep.
"Why am I not?" And there are ways to, if you feel like I have nothing out here, there are ways to create news that shows up, whether it's press releases that we put out for people with the tips
Right.
or, you won an award, so we're putting that out there. You were hired, promoted, blah, 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 sold this. Figure out ways to get the news out there, to share it where it's showing up so you don't have like an empty Google search.
Right. Yeah, it's when you look me up online, it's very easy to find out what my interests are. I mean, it's like right there in all of my profile pages for
Yep.
any social media that you look up. You're going to see that I like boats, bourbon, and the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it's like it's there. You know that I'm a waterfront realtor. It's like just on every
Yeah.
page.
Yeah.
So
Same. Same.
very easy to understand. It's not a whole, a whole mishmash of like 10
No.
billion
Yes.
different things. It's like pick 4 things that you're really passionate about. Let people know that's what your interests are, especially
Yes.
for a realtor,
Yes.
because you've got people who want to work with somebody that they know, like, and trust. Well, what is it that they're going to like about you?
Yes.
Do you have similar interests?
Yes.
Is there something that's, drawing the customer towards you? So
Yeah.
what makes you stand out?
And I will say own it. Don't I think people get so nervous with like, in my example, so I do public relations, obviously,
Yeah.
and I'm also a runner. So should I separate those two existences and like never, or should I combine them? So I make it clear on my, melissaperlman.com that I'm a marathoner and and I do public relations and own a business.
Yeah.
Um, I don't separate them because people will just get confused if you're trying to separate you're a whole human and everyone has
Yeah.
interests and family and this and career.
Yeah.
So like not let's not have these avenues where they're only going to find you here and here. People want to know the whole person, especially nowadays with social media when you feel like you have like access to like every
Absolutely.
bit of someone.
So, social media,
Yeah.
people put out some crazy stuff on social media. I'm just like thinking to myself, okay, obviously like you just said, you can't separate what your interests are and what you do for work. You're that whole person. But maybe you can filter some
Oh
things
yes.
out of what you're putting
Yes.
onto social media. I always it's so cringe to me when someone posts political stuff because it's like, "Oh god, I can't stand this one," or "I absolutely am, like, passionate about." And I'm thinking to myself, when you are in the business that we're in, you're trying to sell yourself and you're trying to sell someone the biggest investment that they'll ever
Mhm.
make in their life,
Yep.
and you just alienated
Yep.
50% of the people who potentially would want to buy your listing, but now they can't stand to even call you because they're just disgusted by the
Yeah.
political stuff that you would post on social media.
Yeah, I mean, if I could remind everyone, social media is not your journal, is
No.
not your
No.
diary. It is public, it is out there, and it is this image that you create for yourself. And we all know that it's not 100% factual. People aren't putting, like the terrible days they're having. They're putting the perfect days. They're
Right.
putting the perfect photos that they edited and whatever
Right.
put out there. The same thing should be for your opinions and your perspective and your thoughts, especially if you are trying to brand yourself and be a professional. You have to be professional with it.
Yeah.
Yes, you can share, some cute, unique parts of yourself and your family and your business to make yourself likable and relatable. I mean, I think that's great. You don't
Yeah.
have to be like a cold, turkey just sitting there
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
no information, but you can still come go about it in a really professional manner so that you're not offending or alienating people or having people look and be like, "Oh my god, who is this?
Yeah.
Like, are they crazy?" Like, it's not your personal friends only. It's everyone looking at you, and this is all they're gonna remember, right? If this is all they see of you and they don't know you personally, they're just seeing your one post a week or one post a day, that's the image they have of you, and if you put so much energy into building a professional business and brand to tear it down with the commenting and not just on your own wall or on your own page or on others as well. Pay
Right. Right.
attention.
Right.
People can see when you like things, when you share things, when you comment. Like it's not all private. It's promoted, it's pushed, it's out there. So just be really aware.
Yeah. We had, there is, how can I say this without giving it away? There is somebody that I know that was basically passed up and disqualified for a position that they wanted because of what was in their past from a social media audit, where they
Yeah.
said you liked these comments and you liked
Yeah.
these posts, and that is all public information that's out there. And when they went and did the social media audit, they just went, we can't have that be a
Yeah.
representation of, this, company,
Yeah. It's
which I
something.
thought was
Yeah.
unfortunate
Yeah.
that it goes that deep, but something to think about.
Something to tell your kids too.
Exactly. Yeah, because that you may go for a listing appointment and somebody may be in PR or they may
Yep.
be a social media auditor or something, and sort of go down a rabbit hole and go, yeah, I don't know if you're really the person for me that I want to work with because of your beliefs and you laughed at this, and I think that that's
Yeah.
atrocious.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you have to be so vanilla. It just
No,
means that you have
yeah.
to like, I don't want people
Just
to
be
think
conscious.
yeah, yes, be aware,
Yeah.
be professional, yeah, don't allow those things to have a larger impact that they need to.
Yeah. There's we started this off by talking about all the noise that's out there, and there's
Mhm.
a ton of noise, not just in the real estate market, but really in life in
Yep.
general right now. So much social media, so many things bombarding people. Um, it's very loud. What can the realtor community do in order to make sure that they could still stand out and sort of cut through all that noise and let people know, hey, I'm here, I'm professional, I am, looking to get your business.
Yeah, I think we have to go back to that people buying a home or people investing in anything, they are looking for clarity and they're looking for trustworthiness. They're not looking for noise. Yeah, they may turn for the noise. They may be like, oh, okay. But they're going to go with the person that they trust, that they understand, that they feel like knows them, that they feel like is consistently there.
Sure.
And that's how you break through. I mean, I built a business on this of don't worry about like blasting over the headlines of like, here, I can get you in here. I can get you on CNN tomorrow and so on. No, it's building that trustworthy, consistent reputation of consistently plugging away, putting out your information, being there, smiling, shaking hands where they can know that you're going to be there, you're going to be trustworthy, you're gonna be the one that they can turn to when they're making that big decision, as you said, that biggest decision. So continue. You gotta, I say, dig in with clarity and specializing in your expertise and offering that to people. Um, I a good example is during COVID when like everyone was out there with news and not sure what to do and you know uh
There was no misinformation then.
yeah, it was just like yeah, it was like a very strange time, and what we did as a PR agency is we basically were like, "Hey, we're here if you need assistance getting your message out there in this very noisy time where they're not like really looking for, information on selling a home or, dentistry or whatever it was." And we really like went in deep and we're like, "Hey, if you regardless if you're a client or not, if you have something that you need to get out there and this is important and this is related to COVID or how you can support people or not, like let us know and let's get out there and start building the blocks." Because I mean, summer's a great time to do that when things are typically a little slower. You can get out there and start building those blocks and that trustworthy reputation, so that people can, in those slower periods and when things slow down, they're like, oh, they were there the whole time. They didn't just show up,
Right.
at the end blasting, this big announcement. And I see this everywhere. But at the end of the day, when I go home and I'm like, who do I go to when I really have a question, when I
Right.
really want to know like the 3 tips to XYZ or who I feel like understands me.
So I'm hearing the message is that consistency is really key when it
Yeah.
comes to trying to create what your brand is going to
Yes.
be.
Yes.
If you're
Yes.
constantly out there telling people, like you said, it's not that you just all of a sudden pops in and like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm the expert. It's like
Yeah. You were
be
there.
consistent with it.
Yeah. You were there months ago when things were hard,
Right.
when things, when the noisiness went away, you're still there.
Right.
You're the person that they can depend on. And like consistency across vehicles, across messaging. I say that because, people love to it's this immediate world. It's like, let me put this out here and okay, wait 4 months and okay, I get bored. Let me put this out there and this. And like people forget. I mean, that's why, the radio stations do studies of like you have to have a commercial on like, I don't know, 20 times for someone to even like, oh, I just heard that commercial.
Right.
Like, we're whether or not we're goldfish and we forget 6 seconds later, but like people need to repeatedly see and hear and be reminded, and then they'll be like, oh, I've been getting that newsletter weekly from, John Smith, and I love the tips that he's sharing, and I've shared it with my friends and my colleagues, or I've saved it in my email box because I know I go back to it and I
Yeah.
pull from them, and that's that branding that lives on.
I remember hearing years ago, um, and I still notice this sometimes when you're watching a TV commercial or you're hearing a radio ad, they'll always tell you the phone number 3 times
Yeah.
because it's like the first time, okay, now you know that there's a phone number to call. Then the second time
You
is
get the
like,
pen
what
out.
was that phone number? And then the third time you hear it, it's like now it's clicked into your head.
Websites are so much easier, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Just Google it. So when we're talking about realtors that are really trying to invest in their brand right now,
Mhm.
so that way next year when it is time for somebody to sell, what do those building blocks look like? What should we be doing today? Sort of first thing to do to get started and start building that consistent flow, in order to start building that brand and really make yourself known as the expert for whatever that farm market is or
Yeah.
type of
Yeah.
property, or what is it that we should be doing right now, and to sort of get the ball rolling. Because God, you talk about inconsistency
I
in
know.
the real estate world. It's like people will spend thousands of dollars to send out a mailer,
I know.
but then never follow up with another
Yep.
mailer. It's like,
Yep.
well, the client threw, or potential customer threw that out
Yep.
3 seconds after
Yep.
they had it and it passed through their hand.
Yeah.
So you've got to maintain that consistency. But what should we be doing?
Yeah, I would recommend that realtors stop thinking like salespeople and think more like educators,
Love that.
right?
You're so
So
right.
stop just blasting the ads I mean, if it works for you, please go on,
Yeah.
but make sure you're following it up with that education.
Yep.
So at this point, going back to what we've said, with that consistency of figuring out what you want to be an expert on, what you love, what you understand, what you can really, bite your teeth into and
Yep.
share, and then just educate people on it and make sure that's consistently shown across the board. And when you look at it, that it's like, nah, I'm just trying to sell something or be a salesperson
Yep.
or get people through the door. Am I actually helping them? Am I giving them something that they didn't know that they wanted to know? And then really learn. I mean, it should make it fun also for realtors. Like, really know everything about an area.
Yeah.
Like, so
Absolutely.
you become, don't just say you're the expert,
100%.
become the expert. Go to the community meetings in this area, show up at like the ribbon cuttings, join the chamber, whatever it is,
I tell people that
you know,
all the time.
you throw yourself into this area of expertise that
Yep.
you want to be known as, and then put that out there and share that knowledge.
Yep.
And by you educating others, you become that trustworthy resource and expert that buyers, sellers, journalists, whoever, they all want to hear from because you're sharing interesting uh, information and
Right.
knowledge that they can really gain from and, can really help them make decisions.
Yeah, nobody
Um,
likes to be sold to. Like, every
yeah,
every time the phone
yeah,
rings and it's just, "Hey, Christopher," I'm like, well, as soon as you say
I
Christopher,
know.
I know
Click.
damn well that you
Yeah,
don't know who I am. You didn't
yep,
look at my profile page because
yeah,
you'd never see my full name anyway.
yep,
So it's like, as soon as that comes out of their mouth, I'm like, "No, thank you. I'm not interested."
yeah,
Nobody wants that phone call. But
yeah,
it's the same thing with your marketing. If your marketing is just like, "Look at me, look at me, look at me,"
yeah,
you're not giving them anything
yeah.
that's making them trust you. All you're showing them is that you've got the guy that sells the glossy postcards.
Yeah, exactly. You're not answering a question for
Right,
them. You're not showing them that you're available to answer questions.
right.
You can help them. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I
give
people,
value.
yeah, people appreciate that. They feel connected to that. It's less, obnoxious. It's like more welcoming. And it has more potential to be shared, right?
That's true.
Because if you send out, like, mailers or whatever, it's not like people are like, "Oh, hey, Nancy, at dinner this week, did you
Yeah.
see this mailer? This was really cool."
Yeah.
No, but they may share like, "Oh my god, I learned these 3 tips listening to this.
Yep,
Did you know that our community has XYZ% blah, blah, blah?" Like, that's the kinda stuff, those nuggets that they'll
yep.
share. So the more educated you can be and put that out there, the more likely the person you're talking to is gonna enjoy it, want it, and then share it, and then it will just multiply.
Yeah, any home improvement tips, design ideas, what the
Yeah.
color of the year is,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
send that stuff to people.
I mean, people love I mean, look at the Zillow, pages that they
Yep,
have of,
yep,
like, the amazing places, and people
yep,
love homes. You're
yep.
in an industry that people love, whether or not look at the reality TV shows. People love to look at homes, imagine, learn.
Yeah, who hasn't
It's
watched
beautiful.
HGTV?
Yeah, it's, like, beautiful stuff, right?
Yep,
So, jump into it and, like, become an expert at one of those areas that you're passionate about and really put it out there, and you'll be amazed at how many people just swarm to you like bees of wanting to learn more, hear more, see what else, or just watch
yep.
until they're ready.
Yeah, there's a local realtor that, I mean, everybody knows her name, and she runs the 4th of July parade for the kids with the golf carts and, puts out hot dogs and hamburgers and whatever. And then when it comes to Memorial Day, she's got volunteers going down the street and putting flags in people's
Yeah,
yards. I mean, it's like
that's her brand,
that's her brand.
right?
She is like she works the community.
Yeah,
People know her, they trust her, they
yep,
like her, they respect her, and she's giving her time and
yes,
she's giving information, knowledge to
yep.
people, and that's why they go to her.
And I bet she doesn't have to
I've
put
never
out.
seen one of her
Yeah,
mailers.
I was like, I bet she doesn't have to put out a mailer that
Nope.
says, "I'm the July 4th lady, realtor person."
Right.
No, people are just saying it about her.
Yeah.
They just know it and they're sharing the information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm gonna let you get back to your PR world and business because we all need to go and do some work today, make some money. One last question for you: if every realtor in South Florida committed to one change in how they communicate their branding starting today, what would you tell them to do first?
Ooh. I would tell them to do a little diagnostic viewing of
Okay.
their current pages,
Yeah.
Google alerts,
Google
social
yourself.
media.
Yeah.
Do a little diagnostic of like what's there,
Yeah.
see what's out there, see what you're putting out there as like, looking at yourself from the outside, and then see what nuggets you could have taken from today to make it better. Whether it's deleting some of them, whether it's cleaning them up, whether it's rebranding them, making them consistent so that they all have the same, coloring and same headshot.
Yeah.
And just look at what you have. Look what's out there. Look what other people, how they would view you if they looked at you today, if they heard your name and they just wanted to
Googled
find
you.
out how to,
Yeah.
yeah, learn more about you,
Yeah.
and invest today, an hour or so into cleaning it up, improving it, um, remessaging a little bit, and then seeing where you start from there of where you want your expertise to be,
Sure.
where you want your inspiration, where you want to prioritize, all that. But I think it all starts with really taking like we should all do it with diagnostic tests of our
For
websites, of our
sure.
social media, digital media
You never know what you're gonna find.
profile, and know it because you need to know it before anyone else does, right?
Yep.
Because that's how you can adjust, change,
Or you gotta fix it.
improve. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Some of you may need more than an hour, but at least start there. Okay. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for being with us. If you guys do need help, if it takes you more than an hour to go through your social media profiles and go, oh God, what have I done? I didn't realize that all this stuff was out there on the internet about me. Give Melissa Perlman a call over at BlueIvy Communications, and she can help you
Thank you,
with your
Chris.
PR.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. And thanks for joining us for Women Rock the Biz. That was certainly
Yeah, it
fantastic. And
was a lot
hopefully
of
we could
fun.
have you back again.
Would love to. Thank
Awesome.
you.
We'll see you guys right back here next time on Our World Talk.